We're in. There we go. It says
Okay.
we are recording, and then hopefully within the next minute or so, people now will get the notification they're waiting. They can then drop in and so, yeah, there we go. A couple of people starting to drop in now. There we go.
Oh,
2,
yeah.
3. Hi, Nikki. Hi, Rebecca. Just for a couple of minutes, guys, just for us to join. Oh, there's another one. 4, 5, 6. Come on. Oh, 8. Yeah, this is the fun part. Afternoon, all. Yeah, probably see the dog in the background, nice and relaxed. Oh, there he is. You heard me talking about him.
We heard you talking about him.
Oh, there we go. He's going to go upside down and show his best bits. Excellent.
See, how am I going to compete
Cute.
with the dog?
I know. That's why I'm sat to the side, just so people can look at the dog instead. But he's been perfectly fine all morning, and now he's on camera. He's literally just turned upside down.
Yeah.
Hi, Andy. I think we've got Debbie's here as well. Joe, Nikki, Rachel, Rebecca, Tor, Tracy. David, just another minute. Hopefully people can join in and we'll crack on. So as those people are here, if you've got any questions throughout the presentation, please just drop them in the chat, and then we've got a bit of Q&A at the end. So don't worry, we will get to them. Yes, you are. Just in case, because it's a public event, Nikki, we just don't want people to randomly turn in and trolls and all the rest of it. So yeah. Oh. Now the dogs. I don't know what the dog's doing. Doing something. Right on cue. Performance. The camera performer. You've seen it. Okay, I suppose now's as good a time as any. Thank you very much to all the attendees for coming this afternoon, and for a couple of you that may have rejoined from the lunchtime seminar. For those that don't know me, I'm Chris Morris, and I am the co-founder and co-owner of Shoe Social Media, based in Ben Reading, and also co-founder and founder and owner of DigitalU. We set up DigitalU under Shoe Social Media 2 years ago. The last 2 years, it's been a real life event to help businesses transition into a more and more increasing digital world. Probably everybody on here can appreciate just how much we've had to adapt things like Zoom in the last 2 months. And yeah, the concept was, well, why don't we try and help businesses by demonstrating what we do online? So I reached out, and Rachel reached out to our connections, and we pulled together a real mix of professionals, experts, speakers, people that are really good at what they do, to bring them together over a week-long conference to get them. So Amy's kindly volunteered to be one of those speakers. And today, Amy's going to talk to you all about how we actually tackle remote things like remote working, how you actually make your systems work for you and your business. And yeah, I met Amy 6 months, a year ago, something like that, at one of Debbie's events, not just networking. And yeah, one of the things that really struck me straight away was the fact that she really does listen to the business and tries to understand what their challenges are, and trying to free up their time to focus on what they're good at by implementing systems. So that's my bit over. I will drop the link in the chat for those that haven't got the ebook. I'll do that now. As I say, I'll hand over to Amy in a second, and if you can please, any questions, just fire them away in the chat. At the end, we'll have a bit of a discussion, and we'll go from there. Thank you very much. Over to you, Amy.
Okay, hi everybody. Thanks for joining us on the session today. I'm just going to start by sharing my screen, and hopefully you will all be able to see that. So, as Chris said, I'm going to talk to you today about some systems. The title is How to Be Virtually Awesome. So as you can imagine, I spend a lot of time literally working on systems, and I think if you can use them right, you can be awesome in what you're trying to achieve. And there are 3 that we use regularly in our business, but also that we implement into other businesses as well, which have had some great results. So let's move on. Technical problem, just bear with me. Right, there we go. So other systems are available, like good supermarkets. These are literally the ones that we prefer and we use. everything I'm going to show you today is totally free. All of the systems have paid for options, but I've never felt the need to subscribe to any of those. And everything I'm showing you today is free, okay? So don't worry, I'm not going to show you something that you think is an amazing feature that you then have to go and sign up to a subscription for. The reason I like free systems is because it gives you the opportunity to try something out, make sure it actually works for your business before you sign up to anything, okay? So the first system I want to talk to you about is Asana, and this is a brilliant project management tool, to-do list, and you can actually use it as a CRM if you want to. So it's kind of a everything in one system, and that's one of the reasons why I like it so much. So in the home screen, or the first screen that you come to when you open up your Asana, you can see literally everything that you might need to do. And there's different options within here. I'm just going to move that out of the way so I can see everything. So if you want to add in a new task, nice and simple. I love simplicity. I don't believe in making things difficult. So you can add your tasks in there. You can change the order that they're in. You can show them by incomplete, complete tasks. For me, I have everything set as incomplete because why would I want to see tasks that I've already done? Because they're done. I don't need to worry about them anymore. And I also sort everything by due date, so I can work on everything in the order it needs to be done. You can also search for something. So if you've put a task in or you need to find somebody's contact details and you can't remember the exact wording that you've used, you can add it, type in here, I don't know, payroll, for instance, and it will bring up everything that has payroll in the task name. So that's a really quick way to find your tasks. Down the sidebar here, you can add in teams. So this is really good if you are working with different groups of people within your business and you need to give them different access to things. So you'll see I've got a team here called Crescent, and this is everything for my business. But then underneath I have my associate team. So in here, each of my associates has their own access to their own projects. So they don't see anything that I'm doing with my business, and they don't see anything that's not for their clients that they're working on. So the projects within there can be anything that you want them to be. So for me, it's clients, but also I've got things like training notes, I've got useful information, that kind of thing. But you can have these set up as clients or projects or anything that you need to record information for. And you'll see there's one there with a little padlock next to it. So that's a private project that only I have access. So nobody else within my Asana team can see what's in that private project. And I will be honest, that's where I stick things like, you know, arrange dentist appointments and book the car MOT, because only I need to see those things. But you can have as many projects as you like in here. So, you know, there's no limits on how much information you want to store within this system. So adding a task, as I say, is really simple. And when you've added your task, this is what it looks like. And you can add in the information about what you want it to do. Again, you can put as much information in there as you want. You can assign it to somebody. So this is really handy, especially at the moment. We're all working remotely. You've got teams spread out all over the place. Normally, you'd probably just shout across the office and say, oh, can you just have a look at this for me? Or can I give you this piece of this project work? You can't do that when you're working remotely. So by setting up a team within Asana, you can assign a task to somebody and it shows up in their to-do list. You can add in due dates as well, which is really good for planning and also so you don't forget anything. And with the due dates, you can set it for a date in the future. You can add in repeating dates. So if you've got something that happens on a regular basis, instead of having to redo the task every time, you just set up a repeating task. And that's really handy, especially for things that only happen once a year. Because let's face it, we can't all remember everything that needs to happen. And you can allocate it to a project. So when you then look in the project, everything you want to look at for that project is in one place for you. So no more hunting through emails or searching through folders on your system. The other great thing about Asana is you can add in attachments and you can add in your team. So the team, you'll see at the bottom there, And across the top there's a paperclip icon. You can add in attachments there, so if you've got photos or documents, spreadsheets, anything, you can add it into this task. And basically you can then build up a history of everything to do with that particular piece of work. So again, it's just making you more efficient. Everything is stored in one place. People can like the task, like the comment. You can give it a little thumbs up if you want to without having to comment on it. And you can add more people in as you need to. And then if you don't need to be a part of that task anymore, you can leave it. So Asana is also available as an app, which is invaluable if you're out and about quite a lot. I know we're not at the moment, but you know, hopefully we're starting to be allowed out to play a little bit more. So, you know, we'll be able to go out and have one-to-ones and meetings and be on the road a bit more. So having that Asana app on your phone is so important, because you don't need to, you know, make a note of anything when you're out and about with somebody. If somebody says, oh, can you email me next week with this information? You can just go straight to your app, add it in, assign it to that project, pop a due date on, and you can even assign it to somebody else while you're out and about. So if you've got somebody in the office that you want them to do that piece of work, you can assign it and then you can get on with your day. But this also comes in handy even when you are, you know, working remotely, working from home. You know, if you're in the house and it's, you know, you've shut your laptop down and you suddenly go, oh, I need to do that tomorrow. Grab your phone, add it on as a task, and it's there waiting for you tomorrow. You don't have to remember to do that, or even, you know, use a post-it note or set yourself a note or anything like that. And you get all the functionality that you get with the on-screen version. So you can see, you can add in tasks, you can assign to projects, you can add in documents and things. You know, photos, if you've taken them on your phone, for instance, is really easy to add into the tasks on Asana. And these are just some of the names, big companies that work with Asana. You know, so you've got Google, Vodafone, NASA, for goodness sake. You know, I always think if NASA are using something, it's got to be fairly top notch. And if it's good enough for NASA, it's good enough for me. And this is just one page of a very long list of some very big names that use this system. So that's Asana. So the next system that I'm going to move on to is called LastPass, and this is basically a password manager vault. So how often do you write passwords down and you keep them in the back of a notebook, or you have them in a post-it note on your screen because you can never remember the Wi-Fi password, or you use that, you know, when Google pops up and says, do you want us to save this password for you? And you go, yes, because you think it's nice and easy. Ideally, shouldn't really be using those options because neither of them are very secure, especially the Google password save option, because obviously if somebody takes your laptop, they can get in and they can access absolutely everything. So LastPass is a great way to store and securely store your passwords. But the other great thing about LastPass is, again, we're all having to share things remotely now. And if you've got a colleague and they need access to something and you say, oh, I'll email you the password and I'll text you the login details, it's a bit of a faff, really. And again, it's still not the most secure way of doing it. With LastPass, you can overcome all of those security issues and you can share everything that you need to. So once you've registered with LastPass, and you have to use a very secure password, which I will be honest, it needs to be quite a long one, but once you've got that password sorted, you don't need to remember any other passwords again. From here, you get your main screen, and it's called a vault. So they're playing on the whole kind of bank vault, being really secure behind a massive locked door. You know, you need 3 sets of keys to open it, that kind of thing. But from here, you can search for passwords, you can generate a password, you can do all sorts of different things. Once you've saved a password to the system, you get this edit password screen, and you can go into here at any time. So if you've got one of these sites that ask you to change your password regularly, you can update it in here. You can add notes and things. You just click on the little spanner wrench icon at the bottom and you can change whatever you need to change within here. But you'll also notice that the password isn't shown. You just get the little dots and you've got this little eye icon. Now that's a really good feature of LastPass, because if you are out and about, or you're in an open plan office, if you're looking at your password, if somebody unscrupulous is kind of peering over your shoulder, you don't want them to see your password. So by having it hidden, it means that only you can see it when you choose to see it. Okay. But I mentioned before about sharing passwords. So, I've done it in the past. I've emailed the username and then texted the login, or I've rung them with the login, or whatever it might have been. With LastPass, you can share passwords really securely. So all you do is you find the password that you need to share, and you click on this little person icon or two people icon, and it brings up a share site option. You type in their email address, and then you can give them the option to view a password or not. So again, depending on how security conscious you need to be, they can still access that site even if you choose for them not to see your password. Okay. So if you have named it after the dog and your children's birthday, and it's quite an easy one to guess, they don't actually get to see that. And then all you do is you click on share, and off it goes. They get a link that asks them to open the password, asks them to open the sharing option, and it goes into their shared options here. So you can see we've got shared with others and shared with me. So you can see which site has been under which category. So if somebody says to you, oh, I've shared that password with you, you can double check if you haven't seen that link and confirm it's not come through for whatever reason. But from here, you can go into each of these sites and you can open them, and you can do the work within that site that you need to. So if you need to change a password as well, you can change it directly within LastPass, or you can, once you change it on the website, LastPass will automatically update it for you. So, we've all had that time where we've been sharing a document or sharing a site, and it's asked you to change the password, and you do so, and then your colleague tries to access it next week, and you've forgotten to give them the updated password. You're not available, they can't access the site, everything has to stop. With LastPass, because you update it in one central place and it's updating their share, they can still gain access no matter where you are effectively. So if you have Google Chrome as your browser, LastPass has this really good little section up here, and it's a little extension that you can add to your browser. And what that does is LastPass then looks at the websites you're using, and if you sign up to a new website and you input all your details and then log in, LastPass will ask you if you want it to save your passwords. So you don't have to remember all these different passwords that you're making. But it will also help you to generate a secure password, because how many times have you come up with the whole, it's not got enough characters, it hasn't got a capital letter in it, it needs your inside leg measurement and your blood group and the first car you ever had, or whatever it might be, and you're sitting there going, I can't think of another variation of this password. So if you click on this generate secure password option, it will bring up one of these completely random passwords that will take, like 3 trips around the moon before somebody can hack it. So that's a really good option, especially when passwords are getting harder and harder to work out. So just going back to the Google Chrome extension, if you have a lot of logins for the same platform, so for instance, I have 7 logins for LinkedIn, because we look after different LinkedIn profiles for people, I can't remember all of those 7 different logins. So when I go to LinkedIn and I log in, it gives me the option to choose from those 7 different logins. And all you do is you scroll down and you pick the right login for the person the site that you're viewing at that time. And it will tell you up here on your extension bar how many logins you have for that site. Okay. And then you just go and you click whichever one is the one that you need. So again, that's really handy if you're looking after client accounts as well. The other great feature with LastPass is you'll see on the side that you've got options to share save notes, save addresses, payment cards. How often have you needed your payment card and it's in your wallet, in the other room, or wherever. Some might say that's a bit lethal because you've got instant access to your spending ability. I don't know, but I find that really handy. certainly so when I'm purchasing things for the business. But you've also got this security challenge, which I recommend that you run every now and then, because this will tell you which of your passwords are not very strong, which ones are the most likely to be hacked, and sometimes which ones have actually been hacked and used, you know, against your knowledge. So I was really shocked when I first ran that, and it prompted a good couple of hours going through and changing passwords and updating things. So it's worthwhile, you know, running that security challenge regularly. Again, you can have this on your various devices. A lot of people have said, oh, it's great having it on my laptop, but I also log into things on my iPad or on my phone. And you know, if I have this wonderful password, I can't then remember it when I'm out and about to log into things on my phone. And that's fine. You can have this app, which will download onto those devices, and you can then still access all your passwords when you're out and about. And again, just some of the people that use LastPass. You know, so we've got CNN Money, and you know, the New York Times. So again, if it's good enough for them to use to store and share their passwords, then I think it's fairly good. And then the final system I want to talk to you about is Camcard. So back in the days when we could go out to play with each other and we were able to collect business cards, I'm guessing most people would bring them back to the office and they'd sit in a pile with every good intention of adding them to your contacts or your CRM or whatever it might be. Excuse me. And I'm betting for the majority of you, they're still in that same pile. So with Camcard, this is a really great way of storing people's contact details, especially when you are out and about. So this is an app only. There's no desktop version of this, but it's a card storage facility effectively. So instead of having the little Rolodex on your desk like we used to, you can now store them all on your phone. And basically all you do is you take a photograph of your card and it stores all the details. The great thing about this is when you're out and about in the future, if you don't want to take somebody's card, you don't have to. You just get them to pop it on the table, you take a photograph of it, and it stores all the information from their card. So when you've taken your photograph, it pulls the information off the card for you, so you don't have to do very much. I do recommend doing a sense check because it doesn't like particularly swirly fonts, or if you've used any numbers instead of characters. It gets a bit confused. If you've got letters after your name, sometimes it will say that, you know, the Finstay M is your name rather than Russell, for instance. So once you've taken your picture, just quickly review it before you move on. You can then add notes to the system. So you know, if you want to put a note on here to say how you met that person, or you know, what sort of business they're in, that kind of thing you can do. But you can also add in groups, and groups are categories. So for instance, I store all my cards based on where I've met that person. So you can see there's a list of the various networking events that I've been to, but I know other people that store them by business category, for instance. You know, so if you want to find all the web designers in your phone book, you can just search for web designers. Quite often you will get asked for so-and-so's number when you're out and about, or even when you know, somebody will ring you and say, oh, can I have so-and-so's number? And you say, yeah, I'll text you the details, or I'll email you the details. And then you either get back to the office and you forget, or the phone rings again, or the kids come in and you get distracted. With Camcard, you can share those details as soon as that person asks you to. So all you do is you search for the card and you click on the share option. And you'll see there's email, WhatsApp, SMS, and there's loads of other ways you can share as well. So you just say to them, how do you want me to share it? By email, is that okay? Yeah, cool. So we'll send it by email. And you can see there that it gives them a précis of the information. It gives them a link to the card. So if they've got Camcard, it will pull the information into theirs. But it also sends them a photo of the card. So it's the same as if you were giving them a copy of that person's card. And you just send those details via email, and then it's done. Then again, it's off your to-do list, it's out of your kind of memory bank. That person's got those contact details, and everybody's happy. So little warning, the use of the systems will improve your productivity, it will improve your work-life balance, it will improve your stress levels, and it will improve the enjoyment of your business, because you'll no longer be surrounded by post-it notes and reminders of passwords and piles and piles of business cards. Any questions?
Brilliant. Thank you, Amy. So I suppose if you could please put any questions in the chat, and I'll kind of waffle for a couple of minutes until people start asking. Thank you very much, Amy. I really like the idea of the cam card thing. That's the first time I've come across that. And I can see that really being useful if and when we're allowed to play out and do the networking thing again. So,
Yeah.
for example, instead of shaking hands, you can't shake hands, can't touch with COVID, you could drop your cards on the table on the way in and people just go back, take the pictures, and then
Yeah.
So I could see that one being really, really useful. Yeah, and then it's a question I had actually. I wrote a question down here, Amy. Before those guys start asking. The cam card, does it link and integrate with Asana? I don't know if you've mentioned that.
So it doesn't integrate with that many systems on the free version, I will be honest. You can, if you pay for the upgraded version, you can link it to your CRM. And I've just seen Joe Mitchell said, what's the CRM? Sorry. CRM is a client relationship management program. So it's a database of all your client details, and you can add in deals and reminders and things of what you want to do. There's loads of different things you can have within your CRM. But yeah, so you can link it to a couple of CRMs if you pay for the paid for version. But what you can do is you can link it to your contacts. So whenever you add in a new card in CamCard, it automatically adds those details to like your phone book and things. So then when you go to your phone book to ring that person, their details are already there.
That's a massive
it's coming really handy for me. But you know, if you've gone to a networking event and somebody says, "Oh, I've only got one card left, and I'm saving it." Well, okay. Well, can I take a picture of it then? And you can still get those details even if they've only got one card left.
Thank you. I suppose that's that from me. So we'll start from scroll to top. Andy made a comment about I put my tasks in done with Trello on my day-to-day board. So I suppose that's a bit of an accomplishment. Tasks feel good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense. I use Trello, but I use it a bit of a Covey matrix. So I put my tasks in a priority matrix.
Well, the good thing, the reason why I prefer Asana in terms of instead of Trello is with Asana, when you've completed your task, it sort of moves itself into that completed area. Whereas with Trello, you've kind of then got to drag the task into your done board or your day, whichever board you want it in. Whereas with Asana, it does it for you. And I'm all for kind of removing extra bits of processes that you don't need to do really. But you can always go back to the completed tasks to see what you have done. So they never disappear as such.
Thanks. Next one from Tracy. How secure is LastPass?
So I guess it's how secure is anything these days, Tracy, because everything is susceptible to being hacked. There's always new people working out better ways to hack and quicker ways to hack things. But I think obviously it's more secure than a piece of paper or the Google save your password option. I've certainly not heard of any massive data breaches with LastPass. Have a look at the stats. There are other password managers out there. Like there are other project management tools out there. So it's whatever you feel comfortable with. I do know there are people who will not touch password manager tool, as even if you paid them to. But it's certainly been invaluable for me in my business, and I wouldn't go back to writing passwords down anywhere now.
No, that's a good point. I'm thinking I've got passwords everywhere. And yeah, that's a great point. Next one down the list, Nikki's asks, can you assign to more than one group in CamCard?
I don't think you can in the free version. So all I would say is sort of, set your groups carefully, and maybe use the notes function for, if you wanted to add in, say you met that person at this group, but they're also a web designer, and use the notes function if you do need to keep more information.
On the theme of LastPass, I'll skip forward one to come back. Rachel says it's really useful. Can you have a different folder? You have different folders in LastPass. Yes.
You can, but again, that's part of the paid for version. I found I don't need to use folders because the search facility is really good. So, if I type in Xero, for instance, it will bring up all the different logins that I have for Xero. So, and I've got a lot of passwords saved in LastPass, as you can imagine, and I've never felt the need to use any of the folders.
So just a general comment there. Be looking forward to getting out about networking again in person. Absolutely, I think everyone is. I don't know about you, but there's only so much Zoom you can actually fit in a week before you've had enough.
Yeah.
Great as it is, more productive it is. It's nice to see people. So nipping on to the Asana, couple for Asana, just to finish off, I suppose. Do you use Asana as a CRM, or do you use a separate tool for that?
Yeah, so that's a really good question. I use my Asana as my CRM. So all my client contact details are I'll have a section. You can add in sections when you add in tasks. So I have a section for each of my clients that says useful information. And in there, I store all their contact details, all their preferences, everything like that, because you're building the rest of your CRM with your tasks. So every time I have a meeting, I will record the notes of that meeting, and it's all date stamped and time stamped as to when I've added those in. If I take notes in a physical meeting, I will take a photograph of those notes and add those in. So I've sort of built my CRM within Asana. So a lot of it depends on what you want your CRM to do. If you want your CRM to link with your MailChimp and things like that to do your email marketing, then no, Asana doesn't work for that, and you do tend to need a separate CRM system. But if you're not doing email marketing, or you don't need those add-ons, then you can use Asana to have everything in there.
Thank you. Yeah, I've used Asana once, and yeah, for me it was a good tool, but I prefer Trello. That's the hospital.
Yeah.
I suppose one of the question there, two more questions, I suppose. What's the best way to start with Asana, projects or tasks? And how does Asana know if the task is completed?
Okay, so the best way to start with Asana is to set up your projects. So if you're doing it by client, so just go in and set up all your clients, and then you can just add in your tasks as you need to, but then you can assign them to your projects. Obviously, if you haven't got a project, what you can do when you're in a task is you can create a new project directly from the task. But if you want to set it up in a certain way, so some clients that I work with, they need to have the same information recorded. So they have a template project, which they then duplicate when they get a new client. So it pulls the same information through. So they have to start with the project first and then add the tasks in. And then how does Asana know the task is completed? So within the, sorry, Chris, I just saw that one.
I think it broke up on that last point. The last sentence you were making, it kind of went fuzzy.
Oh, right, sorry, yeah. So, so basically, if you start with a project and then put your tasks in, I just find that works easier. You can do it the other way, but it just seems a bit backward, really. And then how does Asana know the task is completed? So within the task box, you get the option that says mark as complete. And when you tick that, you get a little notification that says this task has been completed. You also get a few seconds grace. So if you mark it complete, you mark the wrong one complete, you can do an undo. But if you've missed that little notification, you can go into completed tasks and find it and unmark it as complete. But also from your list, so if you're going through and you think, oh, I've done that, you can just tick on the list and it will mark them as complete as well.
Sense to me? Actually, I think I like the idea of having it on the phone, to be fair. Any more questions? I think Avery's done a cracking job of fielding them. Thank you very much. And I think you've done a really really thorough presentation. I really like the fact that you made it step by step. So anybody that's missed this can obviously rewatch it and then actually, how do I do that? They can see. So thank you very much, Amy. I'll give some any final questions. Are we good? Okay, well, thank you. Just a quick plug. We have got lots of presentations and seminars, webinars, what we're going to call them for the rest of the week. The final one for today is by Jag Panasar at 4 o'clock, talking about marketing through the COVID times. And yeah, please feel free to have a look. I'll drop the link in so you can see all the rest of the speakers in the chat. Oh, I've got a final question.
Oh, another question there.
Final question. Go on then, Rachel's asking, can you pull CAMcard contacts into Excel spreadsheets?
Yes, you can actually. So you do get the option to export it to a CSV file. So you would export it to CSV, and you obviously have to then just email that from your phone or send it into a Dropbox folder, and then you can just save that as an Excel spreadsheet once you've got it onto your desktop, and then do whatever you need to do with your contact database then. But yes, that is one thing you can do with the CAMcard functions.
Brilliant. Thank you, everybody that's attended, and thank you very much, Amy. Amy, can you just quickly pop up your contact details slides, just so if someone wants to get in touch with you, it's rude not to give you a final plug.
There with me.
There we go. So just if you've got any questions or you'd like to talk to Amy, how she can perhaps help you and your business or your clients. Oh, there we go. There are the contact details. So get your CAMcard app out, maybe grab this picture of the screen, and go from there. Anyway, thank you very much. See you all later.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. So if you press stop now, Amy, it'll do its thing. Top.
So where am I going? Sorry.
There'll be stop broadcast at the top of the screen or the bottom right. It'll say stop broadcast or end. I might need to, one second, I might need to reclaim it to do it. Recording stop.